Hello, welcome back. Let's continue. I'm John, old YouTuber. It's Wednesday today. I like to save some power on my camcorder for later. I will record some of my stamp collection, but I should start to do that in Dennis to do that. But let's continue my Wikipedia PDF. Let's read about diesel fuel. Is 11:30. And that's 15 pages. I need a minute to do myself ready in my bed. Because this diesel engine is mostly inside this big tanks. They're using this big diesel engines. Let's check my cell phone. Diesel fuel, diesel oil. Let's read it and have this diesel locomotive. I would like to read just for fun, because I like trains.
Diesel fuel. A tank of diesel fuel on a truck. Diesel fuel /dis also called diesel oil, is any liquid fuel specifically designed for use in a diesel engine, a type of internal combustion engine in which fuel ignition takes place without a spark as a result of compression of inlet air and then injection of fuel. Therefore, diesel fuel needs good compression ignition characteristics. The most common type of diesel fuel is a specific fractional distillate of petroleum fuel oil, but alternatives that are not derived from petroleum, such as biodiesel, biomass to liquid, BTL, or gas to liquid, GTL, diesel, are increasingly being developed and adopted. To distinguish these types, petroleum-derived diesel is sometimes called petrodiesel in some academic circles. 1. In many countries, diesel fuel is standardized. For example, in the European Union, the standard for diesel fuel is EN 590. Diesel fuel has many colloquial names. Most commonly, it is simply referred to as diesel. In the United Kingdom, diesel fuel for on-road use is commonly called diesel or sometimes white diesel if required to differentiate it from a tax-advantaged agricultural-only product containing an identifying colored dye known as red diesel. The official term for white diesel is DEV, standing for Diesel Engine Aeroed Vehicle. 2. In Australia, diesel fuel is also known as distillate. 3. Not to be confused with distillate in an older sense referring to a different motor fuel, and in Indonesia, it is known as solar, a trademarked name from the country's national petroleum company Pertamina. The term gas oil, French, gazole, is sometimes also used to refer to diesel fuel. Ultra-low sulfur diesel, ULSD, is a diesel fuel with substantially lowered sulfur contents. As of 2016, almost all of the petroleum-based diesel fuel available in the United Kingdom, mainland Europe, and North America is of a ULSD type. Before diesel fuel had been standardized, the majority of diesel engines typically ran on cheap fuel oils. These fuel oils are still used in watercraft diesel engines. Despite being specifically designed for diesel engines, diesel fuel can also be used as fuel for several non-diesel engines, for example the Ackroyd engine, the Stirling engine, or boilers for steam engines. History. Origins. Diesel fuel originated from experiments conducted by German scientist and inventor Rudolf Diesel for his compression ignition engine, which he invented in 1892. Originally, Diesel did not consider using any specific type of fuel. Instead, he claimed that the operating principle of his rational heat motor would work with any kind of fuel in any state of matter. 4. However, Both the first diesel engine prototype and the first functional diesel engine were only designed for liquid fuels. 5. At first, diesel tested crude oil from petrolbrom, but soon replaced it with petrol and kerosene, because crude oil proved to be too viscous. 6. With the main testing fuel for the diesel engine being kerosene. 7. In addition to that, diesel experimented with different types of lamp oil from various sources, as well as different types of petrol and ligroin, which all worked well as diesel engine fuels. Later, diesel tested coal to creosote. 8. Paraffin oil, crude oil, gas oil, and fuel oil, which eventually worked as well. 9. In Scotland and France, shale oil was used as fuel for the first 1898 production diesel engines because other fuels were too expensive. 10. In 1900, the French Auto Society built a diesel engine for the use with crude oil, which was exhibited at the 1900 Paris Exposition. 11. And the 1911 World's Fair in Paris. 12. The engine actually ran on peanut oil instead of crude oil, and no modifications were necessary for peanut oil operation. 11. During his first diesel engine tests, Diesel also used illuminating gas as fuel, and managed to build functional designs, both with and without pilot injection. 13. According to Diesel, neither was a coal dust producing industry existent, nor was fine, high-quality coal dust commercially available in the late 1890s. This is the reason why the diesel engine was never designed or planned as a coal dust engine. 14. Only in December 1899 did Diesel test a coal dust prototype, which used external mixture formation and liquid fuel pilot injection. 15. This engine proved to be functional, but suffered from piston ring failure after a very few minutes due to coal dust deposition. 16. Since the 20th century, before diesel fuel had been standardized, diesel engines typically ran on cheap fuel oils. In the United States, these were distilled from petroleum, whereas in Europe, coal tar creosote oil was used. Some diesel engines were fueled with mixtures of several different fuels, such as petrol, kerosene, rapeseed oil, or lubricating oil, because they were untaxed and thus cheap. 17. The introduction of motor vehicle diesel engines, such as the Mercedes-Benz OM138, in the 1930s meant that higher quality fuels with proper ignition characteristics were needed. At first no improvements were made to motor vehicle diesel fuel quality. After World War II, the first modern high-quality diesel fuels were standardized. These standards were, for instance, the DIN 51601, VTL 9140-001, and NATO F54 standards. 18. In 1993, the DIN 51601 was rendered obsolete by the new EN 590 standard, which has been used in the European Union ever since. In seagoing watercraft, where diesel propulsion had gained prevalence by the late 1970s due to increasing fuel costs caused by the 1970s energy crisis, cheap heavy fuel oils are still used instead of conventional motor vehicle diesel fuel. These heavy fuel oils, often called bunker C, can be used in diesel-powered and steam-powered vessels. 19. Types. Diesel fuel is produced from various sources, the most common being petroleum. Other sources include e-biomass, animal fat, biogas, natural gas, and coal liquefaction. Petroleum diesel. Petroleum diesel, also called petrodiesel. 20. Fossil diesel, or mineral diesel, is the most common type of diesel fuel. It is produced from the fractional distillation of crude oil between 200 and 350 degrees Celsius, 392 and 662 degree F, at atmospheric pressure, resulting in a mixture of carbon chains that typically contain between 9 and 25 carbon atoms per molecule. 21. Synthetic diesel. A modern diesel dispenser. Synthetic diesel can be produced from any carbonaceous material including biomass, biogas, natural gas, coal and many others. The raw material is gasified into synthesis gas, which after purification is converted by the Fischer-Tropsch process to a synthetic diesel. 22. The process is typically referred to as biomass to liquid, BTL, gas to liquid, GTL, or coal to liquid, CTL, depending on the raw material used. Paraffinic synthetic diesel generally has a near zero content of sulfur and very low aromatics content, reducing unregulated emissions of toxic hydrocarbons, nitrous oxides and particulate matter, PM. 23. Biodiesel. Biodiesel made from soybean oil. Biodiesel is obtained from vegetable oil or animal fats, biolipids, which are mainly fatty acid methyl esters, FAME, and transesterified with methanol. It can be produced from many types of oils, the most common being grapeseed oil, rapeseed methyl ester, RME, in Europe, and soybean oil, soy methyl ester, SME, in the US. Methanol can also be replaced with ethanol for the transesterification process, which results in the production of ethyl esters. The transesterification processes use catalysts, such as sodium or potassium hydroxide, to convert vegetable oil and methanol into biodiesel and the undesirable byproducts glycerin and water, which will need to be removed from the fuel along with methanol traces. Biodiesel can be used pure, B100, in engines where the manufacturer approves such use, but it is more often used as a mix with diesel, BXX, where XX is the biodiesel content in percent. 24. 25. FAME used as fuel is specified in DIN EN 14214, 26, and ASTM D 6751 standards. 27. Fuel injection equipment. 5. Manufacturers have raised several concerns regarding biodiesel, identifying FAME as being the cause of the following problems: corrosion of fuel injection components, low pressure fuel system blockage, increased dilution and polymerization of engine sump oil, pump seizures due to high fuel viscosity at low temperature, increased injection pressure, elastomeric seal failures and fuel injector spray blockage. 28. Pure biodiesel has an energy content about 5–10% lower than petroleum diesel. 29. The loss in power when using pure biodiesel is 5–7%. 25. Unsaturated fatty acids are the source for the lower oxidation stability. They react with oxygen and form peroxides and result in degradation byproducts, which can cause sludge and lacquer in the fuel system. 30. As biodiesel contains low levels of sulfur, the emissions of sulfur oxides and sulfates, major components of acid rain, are low. Use of biodiesel also results in reductions of unburned hydrocarbons, carbon monoxide, CO, and particulate matter. CO emissions using biodiesel are substantially reduced, on the order of 50% compared to most petrodiesel fuels. The exhaust emissions of particulate matter from biodiesel have been found to be 30% lower than overall particulate matter emissions from petrodiesel. The exhaust emissions of total hydrocarbons, a contributing factor in the localized formation of smog and ozone, are up to 93% lower for biodiesel than diesel fuel. Biodiesel also may reduce health risks associated with petroleum diesel. Biodiesel emissions showed decreased levels of polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbon, PAH, and nitrate PAH compounds, which have been identified as potential carcinogens. In recent testing, PAH compounds were reduced by 75–85% except for benz, A, anthracene, which was reduced by roughly 50%. Targeted NPAH compounds were also reduced dramatically with biodiesel fuel, with 2 nitrofluorine and 1 nitropyran reduced by 90%, and the rest of the NPAH compounds reduced to only trace levels. 31. Hydrogenated oils and fats. This category of diesel fuels involves converting the triglycerides in vegetable oil and animal fats into alkanes by refining and hydrogenation, such as Nest Renewable Diesel or H-Bio. The produced fuel has many properties that are similar to synthetic diesel, and are free from the many disadvantages of FAME.DME. Dimethyl ether, DME, is a synthetic, gaseous diesel fuel that results in clean combustion with very little soot and reduced NOx emissions. 24. Storage. Large diesel fuel tanks in Sornen and Helsinki, Finland in the US. Diesel is recommended to be stored in a yellow container to differentiate it from kerosene, which is typically kept in blue containers, and gasoline, petrol, which is typically kept in red containers. 32. In the UK, diesel is normally stored in a black container to differentiate it from unleaded or leaded petrol, while air stored in green and red containers, respectively. 33. Standards. The diesel engine is a multi-fuel engine and can run on a huge variety of fuels. However, development of high-performance, high-speed diesel engines for cars and lorries in the 1930s meant that a proper fuel specifically designed for such engines was needed, diesel fuel. In order to ensure consistent quality, diesel fuel is standardized. The first standards were introduced after World War II. 18. Typically, a standard defines certain properties of the fuel, such as cetane number, density, flash point, sulfur content, or biodiesel content. Diesel fuel standards include Diesel Fuel EN 590, European Union. ASTM D975, United States. GOSTAR 52368, Russia, equivalent to EN 590. NATO F54, NATO, equivalent to EN 590. DIN 51601, West Germany, obsolete. Biodiesel fuel EN 14214, European Union. ASTM D6751, United States. CAN /CGSB 3.524, Canada. Measurements and pricing. Cetane number. The principal measure of diesel fuel quality is its cetane number. A cetane number is a measure of the delay of ignition of a diesel fuel. 34. A higher cetane number indicates that the fuel ignites more readily when sprayed into hot compressed air. 34. European, EN 590 standard, road diesel has a minimum cetane number of 51. Fuels with higher cetane numbers, normally premium diesel fuels with additional cleaning agent some synthetic content, are available in some markets. Fuel value and price. About 86.1% of diesel fuel mass is carbon, and when burned, it offers a net heating value of 43.1 mJ/kg as opposed to 43.2 mJ/kg for gasoline. Due to the higher density, diesel fuel offers a higher volumetric energy density. The density of EN 590 diesel fuel is defined as 0.820 to 0.845 kg/L, 6.84 to 7.05 pound/US gal, at 15 degrees C, 59 degrees Fahrenheit, about 9.0-13.9% more than EN 228 gasoline. Petrol, S0.7 to 0.775 kg/L, 6.01 6.47 pound/US gal, at 15 degrees Celsius, which should be put into consideration when comparing volumetric fuel prices. The CO2 emissions from diesel are 73.25 g/mj, just slightly lower than for gasoline at 73.38 g/mj. 35. Diesel fuel is generally simpler to refine from petroleum than gasoline, and contains hydrocarbons having a boiling point in the range of 100